feminine styling type.
And for sure, it's going down.
So a lot of times people are not getting the value. When to speak and when to be quiet is one of the most powerful.
She's going to be aggressive, thinking that. And as someone who's been married for 12 years, he's
driven, not lazy. And this will make yourself and get on the right path. That
understand that you might be doing a disservice to your daughter. If you don't help her understand vetting and proper decision making, now she's going to be a basket case later. If you don't help her understand emotional intelligence, she's going to hold on to a lot of emotional baggage. If you don't.
Welcome to another live with Mrs. Danielle DeVita. I am a relationship and femininity coach. My goal is to help you find the person that's best for you. And the way that you can do that is be in your feminine state if you're a woman, and a man be in your masculine energy. And then, of course, making sure you're not in a relationship longer than you need to be in. Now, I talk about a plethora of things, of course, from being in your feminine state and vetting, which is making sure you're not in a relationship longer than you need to be in. You don't want to tolerate things that you shouldn't. However, you do want to make sure that you work at a relationship. The goal is not to just see red flags and then just leave, but to try to have conversation and talk about the things you do value in a relationship, value in that person and what you want. And these are called crossroads. And then if that person is saying they're not trying to make the relationship better by making the appropriate healthy changes for a relationship to grow, then you don't give ultimatums. You just decide, well, then this relationship is not for me. Now, we hear a lot of times people talk about the high valued man, and you want to be with a man that makes money. And I understand that women who are with men who are not making a certain amount of money, they tend to not show a certain level of respect for them. And we definitely don't want that to happen. So we're going to talk about a woman who is in the dating scene. She's 31, and she's talking about the guy that her friend told her that she should be with. And then we're going to have a conversation about this, because a lot of times people think that if they're getting with someone who makes less money, they are settling. And this is usually women. If a woman is saying, hey, I make 50,000, so I want to make sure the guy makes 50,000. So one breath we say we don't want a 50-50 relationship. So we either want him to make more than us or equal to us. Or on the other hand, we want him to make six figures and we essentially be a stay-at-home wife. So I want to go into the details about this, because a lot of women think they're settling. If you had a man, he's great, but he makes 40 and you make 50 or 60, or you make, six figures and he doesn't. So let's talk about this video here. I'm going to go ahead and play this video. We're going to get right into it.
So y'all, on this dating journey, I realize sometimes your qualifications gonna go up.
All right, let's start it over just in case you didn't hear it.
So y'all, on this dating journey, I realize sometimes your qualifications gonna go up, down, change all the way around, right? Just especially being more realistic and just trying to date. At first I was like, okay, I only want a man that got six figures. So then after a while I was like, okay, I'm gonna knock it down. At first it was down to like, okay, the guy gotta make at least 80,000 a year if he don't have no kids, and if he do got kids, he gotta make six figures. So then I was trying to be more compromising, and so I was like, okay, I knocked it down all the way to 70,000. Okay, I knocked it down that the guy had to make 70,000 or more if he doesn't have any kids. If he does have kids, he have to make at least six figures, or at least 90,000. Now, I want somebody now. Last year I brought in, I don't talk about how much money I bring in, but last year I brought in a little bit over 80,000 after taxes. So I wanted a man that make more than me, which I feel like that's reasonable as a woman, whatever. But I was talking to my homeboy, and he told me I do not need to settle, and I need to date a man that makes six figures. Because he explained to me when he used to be engaged, his fiance made more than him, and I think at the time he was only making 65,000. And he was saying like, it was very intimidating with his fiance making more than him. It made him feel some type of way. When they went on vacations, they couldn't go on a lot of vacations, and when they did, They had to split their vacations. They had to split the bills. And I was like, yeah, friend, that's not going to work.
Okay, so first, he was a 50-50 dude, your friend, because even if a guy makes less money, he can still be sure of himself. Sometimes it takes a while for people, especially being 30. She said she's 31. So let's say she is dating a guy who's 31, 32. He's still essentially new in his career. Think about, let's say he did go to school. By the time you finish, college, you're usually about 25, 26, right? You could be younger, but let's just say the average is by the time you got all the qualifications that you need for this job to give you the money that you want, or whatever it is, the skill set that you needed, you are probably making your, $60,000-$70,000, right? Let's say you are doing that. The average male is probably making between 55 and 60 in society. And then if as you get older, you tend to make more. So if he's intimidated, then that's an insecurity issue, because there could be a guy who makes 60 and knows that over time he's going to make more because he's putting in the work. Everything be microwave. You can't have right then, right there. So someone could make 60 now, next year make 70, and just keep moving up until they get to where they need to be. But everyone wants someone who wants to make six figures. And some men, if they are, intimidated about a woman who's already making more, then that's sad. Of course, I understand there's this power dynamic, respect dynamic that people look into. But if the woman that you're with just happens to be making more because of her profession, and you're not, if you know you're aspiring for greatness, you know that you're going to potentially make more, then that shouldn't have intimidated you. That shouldn't have been a problem. You could still be a provider and not necessarily make equal or more than her. If over time you put in that work, you eventually will make more. Every person who's a millionaire can probably tell you a story where they started at the bottom, right?
If I'm gonna split a vacation, I might as well go on a vacation with my homegirls. Like, no.
Again, a 50-50 dude. So this guy could make 60 and still put in the time and effort to get the money that's needed for the vacation, right?
And he was just saying, being realistic, like the way I live my lifestyle and the way I like to live and do things, and just a man that makes 70,000 is just not gonna work, because after taxes, he probably bringing home what?
Especially if this guy lives in the southern states, 70 is not bad. You talking California, New York, maybe those areas where the cost of living is higher, then maybe it's not as much. But I think a lot of people put a lot of stock in finances and they overlook the other things. That's why you get with a high value guy and say he'll dog you out, because all you was looking at was the bag instead of the person, right? A high value man adds value through his expertise, his knowledge, his talents. You feel this presence of this man. Not that you just see his wallet, but you see him as a person. You love his integrity. You love how his, the fact that he's a go-getter, which means you can see that one day he will be great, right?
60 or 65, something like that, whatever. No, he would bring less than 65. He probably bring like 55, whatever. Which is, and he, after he broke it down, because when he was telling me he made 65, I was like, oh yeah, like that ain't gonna work. Especially if this my, like, somebody gonna be my, that ain't gonna work. And so he was like, if I date somebody that's gonna be making 70,000, I'm going to be settling, and I shouldn't have to settle. And he told me, a man told me, I need to date somebody making six figures or very close to it.
Settling is when you're getting less than what you are, less than your value, right? So a lot of times people, when they think of value, think of monetary. And in her situation, that's all this whole conversation is about. Well, I want to find a guy that I'm not settling, where I'm not getting less than what I deserve. So all you feel like you deserve is a guy who can meet your financial lifestyle, the lifestyle to give you the look, the aesthetics of what you want. What about the other things that you value? So, and when I say this, I make a good amount of money too. So this is not, to trump her. I understand where she's coming from. But if my husband did make less than me, right, it wouldn't matter. Why? Because although we may not be making the same amount of money, the amount of value he adds to my life, I'm not settling in that. The amount of value he adds to my children's life, I'm not settling in that. My happiness, I'm not settling in that. Our conversations, our values, like our values of how we view relationship and things like that, I'm not settling. I'm excelling because of him. Me being attached to him, I am growing, I am doing well because of the value he has to me. And all of those things had nothing to do with how much money he makes. And I can easily say this because when we were together, we were in our 20s. And I can tell you, all right, we weren't making nothing. And then when you think about the amount of money we make now, the amount of money he makes now, see, you guys would have missed out on a guy like that if you were looking at how much money he made then. Because I saw where the money he made in his 20s and his 30s. Well, we're still in our 30s, but from our early 30s to now, it's a huge difference. A lot of people think because they got a little money now, oh, he got to be making as much money. So really, you want a 50-50 dude.
And so the
Wrapped in what you say is a traditional dude.
thing is, most black men that make six figures, either they're married, in a relationship, or they think they're a unicorn and think,
yes, they're married in a relationship because the person they got with didn't see them as a bag. They saw the other values that they were able to hold on to, because those are the values that make a marriage work, not the value what you're saying.
they're the prize because there is not that many black men making six figures.
Exactly. It's not that many black men making six figures. So why are we looking at the 1%? Do you look like you qualify for the 1%? And a lot of times people look at it as, women look at it as, oh, well, maybe it's my money, right? My looks, and that's what makes me qualified. No, your looks don't get you the qualification either. That may get him to look at you, but what makes you a wife is not going to be what's in between your legs and how pretty your face is. It's going to be what's in your mind. It's going to be the value that you add to his life. And the value that most men are looking for who are six figures ain't your money. It is your femininity, right? Your energy, your nurturing spirit, your peace. And a lot of women who tend to make six figures, right, or close to it, don't have those things because they think they're a unicorn. They think that they're so different because they got the looks and the money and the lifestyle to go with it. But the unicorn is the person who is a woman who is walking in her femininity, whether she has the money or not, whether she has the lifestyle or not. She has that energy and that peace, right? And that man is doing the same reciprocity. He's doing the very same thing, but he's walking in his masculinity, and he's not letting how much money she has and her looks dictate his feelings and how he feels about himself. All right. So that is all I have to say for you all, guys. I don't have the call in because I'm having issues with my stream, so I had to kind of get this pre-recorded and get it out there. So stay tuned. I do have a book coming out, Command Respect from the Woman You Want. That'll be coming out very soon, followed by a book for women, Girl, Go Get Your Husband, and a book for teenagers, Boy, Bye. So those books will be coming out soon. We'll talk about them. Learn more about my material by going to MrsDanielleDeVita.com. I'm also on social media such as Instagram, TikTok, all right, Facebook. So see me then. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Take care. Happy Thursday.